Apna Course. Get smart. Get ahead.
Consumer Protection. The Consumer Protection Act 1986. Guidelines for the consumer protection. Protect from hazard to health and safety. Promote and protect economic interests. Provide adequate information for informed choice. Consumer education. Provide effective redressal, which is formal and informal procedures. Freedom to form groups and present views in decision making affecting consumers. So, who is a consumer? Two kinds of consumers are under the Act. One is consumer of goods, who buys or agrees to buy a goods or user of any such goods. And second is consumer of services, who hires or avails any services or is a beneficiary of such service. Now, consumers need protections against unfair trade practices, people who adopt unfair methods, which mislead public about the price, charging above MRP printed, misleading public about another's goods or services, offering misleading warranty or guarantee. Second, restrictive trade practices, price fixing or output restrainment, market fixing territorially among competitors, suppliers depriving consumers of free choice or depriving the consumers of fair competition, supplying only to particular distributors or on condition of sale or within only a territory. It's more or less forming a cartel, delaying in supplying goods or services leading to rise in price, requiring a consumer to buy or hire any goods or service as a precondition for buying or hiring other goods or services. Third, defects. Any fault, imperfection or shortcoming in the quality, quantity, potency, purity or standard which is required to be maintained by or under any law for the time being in force or under any contract express or implied or as is claimed by the trader in any manner whosoever in relation to any goods. So there cannot be any defect in the goods. Deficiency. Any fault, imperfection, shortcoming, inadequacy. So I have ordered 100 quantity, delivered 98. Deficiency. Either in the quality, nature, manner, quantity, so on and so forth, which is required to be maintained by or under any law for time being in force or has to be undertaken to be performed by a person in pursuance of a contract or otherwise in relation to any service. So what are the consumer rights? Right to safety against hazardous goods and services, right to be informed about quality, quantity, purity, standard and price, right to choose from variety of competitive prices, right to be heard, right to seek redressal, right to consumer education. Now, what is the forum and jurisdiction for consumer protection? Consumer disputes redressal forums, which is more or less district forums, claims less than 20 lakhs, consumer disputes redressal commission, which is at the state level, more than 20 lakhs, less than 1 crore, National Consumer Disputes Redressal Commission, which is a national commission which is claim equal to 1 crore or more. What are the benefits and reliefs? Benefits: disposal within 90 days, no adjournment shall ordinarily be granted. There's going to be a speedy trial, especially for consumer protection. Reliefs: removal of defects in goods or services, replacement of defective goods, refund against defective goods or deficient services, compensation. So these are the reliefs available along with prohibition on sale of hazardous goods. Coming to investor protection. Securities and Exchange Board of India has been established with the prime mandate to protect the interest of the investors in securities. Purpose and role of SEBI: regulating the business in stock markets and other securities markets, registering and regulating the working of stockbrokers and other intermediaries associated with securities markets, registering and regulating the working of collective investment schemes including mutual funds, promoting and regulating self-regulatory organizations, prohibiting fraudulent and unfair trade practices relating to securities markets, promoting investors' education and training of intermediaries of securities markets, prohibiting insider trading in securities, and finally regulating substantial acquisition of shares and takeover of companies. So all of these are governed by a single body, which is SEBI, Securities and Exchange Board of India. Now, SEBI has come up with an investment advisor regulations. The Securities Board of India notified the SEBI Investment Advisor Regulations 2013 on January 21st, 2013. The regulations have come into force from 21st April 2013. The regulations apply to any person acting as an investment advisor. So anybody providing an investment advice has to be registered under these regulations. Every investment advisor is regulated to obtain a certificate of registration from SEBI under these regulations. What are important definitions under the regulation? Investment advice means advice relating to investing in, purchasing, selling or otherwise, dealing in securities or investment products, and advice on investment portfolio containing securities or investment products, whether written, oral or through any other means communication for the benefit of the client, and shall include financial planning. So if somebody is providing an advice including financial planning, wealth management, whatever he is doing, he has to register under these regulations. Provided that the investment advice given through newspaper, magazines or any electronic or broadcasting or telecommunication medium which is widely available to public shall not be considered as investment advice for the purpose of these regulations. Financial planning shall include analysis of clients' current financial situation, identifying their financial goals, developing and recommending financial strategies to realize such goals. Basically, financial planning is a 6-stage process. Investment advisor means any person who, for consideration, is engaged in the business of providing investment advice to clients or other persons or group of persons, and include any person who holds out himself as an investment advisor by whatever name called. Time limit for getting registered. The time limit prescribed for obtaining the certificate of registration is as under. Existing investment advisor within 6 months from the regulations, which was then, now it is not necessary. Any new investment advisor, he has to obtain this registration prior to commencing investment advisory services. There are certain categories of businesses or persons who are exempt from the regulation. Insurance agents or insurance brokers who solely advise on insurance products and are registered with IRDA, Insurance Regulatory and Development Authority. Pension advisors who advise on pension products and are registered with Pension Fund Regulatory and Development Authority. Distributors of mutual funds providing any investment advice to the clients incidental to the primary activity, which is distribution, and are a member of a self-regulatory organization recognized by SEBI, or are registered with Association of Asset Management Companies of Mutual Funds. So these are exempt from regulations. A fund manager of mutual fund is exempt. A fund manager of alternative investment fund is exempt. Any other intermediary or entity registered with SEBI in any other manner is exempt. Stockbrokers, sub-brokers, portfolio managers or merchant bankers registered with SEBI under the relevant regulations where such persons provide investment advice incidental to the primary activity are exempt from regulation. Any advocate, solicitor, law firm, chartered accountant, company secretary, cost and works accountant, actuary or a member of any professional body specified by SEBI where such persons provide investment advice to their clients incidental to their professional practice. Any person providing investment advice exclusively to client based outside India other than non-resident Indians or persons of Indian origin. So if somebody is providing advice outside India to a non-resident who is not an Indian or who is not a person of Indian origin, need not register under these regulations. What are the qualification and certification requirement? The regulations prescribe the following minimum qualifications to be satisfied by an individual investment advisor, or in case of an investment advisor incorporated as a company, body corporate or a partnership firm, all persons in such entities offering investment advice which have to be maintained at all times. Postgraduate degree or postgraduate diploma in finance, accountancy, business management, commerce, economics, capital market, banking, insurance, actuarial science from a recognized or Indian or foreign university or institutions, or a graduate degree in any discipline with an experience of at least 5 years in activities relating to advice in financial products or services or fund or asset or portfolio management. A certification of financial planning or fund or asset or portfolio. It can be NISM, can be FPSB, which is the CFP course, or you can obtain CWM certification from the AAFM. Existing investment advisors have been given 2 years. So this was given in the year 2013, not applicable at this point in time. The certificate of registration granted shall be valid for a period of 5 years from the date of issue. Capital adequacy. Capital adequacy norms to be fulfilled by the investment advisors. Investment advisors incorporated as a body corporate, as a company, if they're registering, their net worth should be minimum 25 lakhs. For individuals, the net worth is 1 lakh rupees. Registration fee. Every applicant is required to pay a non-refundable application fee of 5,000 with application for the grant of registration. Additionally, the applicant is also required to pay the following sum as registration or renewal fee at the time of applying for the grant or renewal of the certificate of registration. Individual or partnership firm, they pay 10,000 rupees as registration fee. Body corporate pays 1 lakh as a registration fee. But currently there is a change. Body corporate pays 5 lakhs as a registration fee, which will be valid for 5 years. The regulations also prescribe the format of application for the grant of renewal of the certificate of registration and documents that are need to be included with the application. Next, if I register under these regulations, what are the records that I have to maintain? KYC, know your client records, risk profiling and risk assessment of the client. For each of the clients, risk profiling has to be done. Suitability assessment of the advice being provided. So if I provide any advice to the client, I'll have to also have a record of whether that advice was suitable for that particular client based on his risk profile. I'll have to maintain copies of agreements with the clients. I have to provide the record of investment advice provided, both written and oral. And very important, I have to also maintain a record of rationale for arriving the investment advice. So if I've asked my client to invest in a particular investment asset class, I'll have to have a rationale as to why I told him to do that. So that also has to be maintained as record. A register or record containing list of clients, the date of advice, nature of advice, the product, securities in which advice was rendered, and fee, if any, charge for such advice. All records shall be maintained either in physical or electronic form and prescribed for minimum period of 5 years. Provided that where records are required to be duly signed and maintained in electronic form, such records shall be digitally signed. And investment advisors shall conduct yearly audit in respect of compliance with these regulations from a member of Institute of Chartered Accountants of India or Institute of Company Secretaries of India. So a chartered accountant or a company secretary has to conduct an audit from a compliance perspective for a person who is registered under these regulations. So let's go through the summary of this section. We discussed contracts, negotiable instruments, tort, that is professional liability, fiduciary responsibility. We discussed agency law. We had a discussion on consumer protection, and finally the investor protection and the investment advisor regulations 2013. So with this, we come to the end of the first module, which is the introduction module. In the following sessions, we'll get into the next set of modules.
Apna course. Get smart. Get ahead.